Hello again, music people. We are going to talk about some strategies for breathing when you play a wind instrument. Now, these strategies can also help string players and percussionists because if you're playing along with wind players, there's this impulse that happens before a piece begins or when we're taking breaks or breaths within a piece. And this breathing allows you to regulate your body. So while the benefit of working on your lungs is directly related to wind players, this is going to be helpful to us as musicians overall. Along with the stretches, it can kind of help center you and calm you down before a performance and reduce some of that performance anxiety. All right, so I want to talk about tense versus relaxed breath. So when you are taking a breath if you're sitting there watching TV and you're just breathing, you're breathing up in the top of your chest where the small muscles in between your ribs are moving. Those are called intercostal muscles. And that's the little tiny breaths that you need just to kind of survive and maintain all your systems. When you breathe, if you are running or if you're exercising, that tends to happen lower in the chest. This is involved also, but when we breathe to play in music, sorry, my microphone took a dive there. We use a much deeper part of the lungs to fill up with air in order to use it efficiently to blow out in an instrument. So we need to take a relaxed breath down deep in the lungs. Now, you might be wondering, how do you change that? How do you take a tense breath versus a relaxed breath? Well, the tense breath happens with that flight or fight response. So if I were to come up behind you, if you didn't know I was in the room, and then tap you on the shoulder, and you might jump out of your seat and go, ah! That's that tight chest up there. You lift up your shoulders, you protect the neck. That's the breath that we don't want to have in playing an instrument, because when you use that, it's shorter branches of your lungs, and you blow out, and you get tense, and you run out of oxygen, and you start shaking, and that's where we get nerves, and that's where we get some wobbly playing. So what we want to do is we want to breathe deep down with these long bands of muscles across the abdomen. And there's a very easy trick in order to take a relaxed breath. If you say the word how, without making any sound, it opens up this part of your throat, it opens up your lips, and if you say that word while you're taking a breath in, it creates a nice quiet breath. If you are taking a loud breath, where you can hear it, that's the tense breath up here. So we want quiet breaths. One way to check that you're taking a relaxed breath is to take your index finger, put it kind of under your nose, across your lips, and go. That's a tense breath. It made a sound. Here's a relaxed breath with the word how. And I took a deep breath down into the bottom of my lungs. You try not to lift up your shoulders. And it just expanded the bottom of my rib cage down into the diaphragm, kind of pushed my belly button out. All right, so how to use that air now is literally the phrase how to. When we start any note, we want a syllable, not just, it's not a sigh breath, it's a little bit of air compression behind the tongue. So the tongue is going to go where the teeth meet the top of your the skin on the top of your mouth, and they're going to hold the air back for a split second. It's the same sensation if you're trying to get something off your tongue, like an eyelash or a bit of a seed. That's what you're trying to do there. So we're going to take a deep breath in, how, and a two breath out to use the air. So it's going to look like this. And I'm focusing a cold stream of air right on the middle of my palm. See where those three lines kind of come together here? I'm aiming right there, about a hand's width away. And you want to focus a cold stream of air right in the middle of your hand. All right, now that's not how we're always going to use the air. It's not always like, we've got lots of different styles of music and a lot of different styles of attacks that we want to be able to make. So the first style of attack is soft and light. So I want you to imagine, and I want you to do these hand motions with me, because the physical act of doing that puts a good imprint in your mind of how this works. So we're going to pretend that we have a paper airplane, and we're going to try and float that paper airplane really slowly across the entire gym. Okay, so we breathe in and send that airplane off. Big wide wing airplane. Lots of distance. And not too much force on the release, just now, when we want kind of our average attack, our normal note for everyday use, we want something that's more like throwing a dart at a dartboard, a quick release and a rebound. So if you were to throw a dart like that, it would probably just fall to the ground. You need a little bit of force, but it's a rebound. No one throws darts like that. That's like a baseball. So it's out and back. And that resets your tongue for the next note. And at no time are we using our throat to cut off the air. That would sound like this. You're going to wear yourself out. You're going to hyperventilate, and that's not a good thing to do. Our tongue, or our air, is constantly coming out, but we interrupt it with the tongue. So I'm pushing air the whole time, but the tongue is compressing it and letting it separate. Now, if we want a big, loud note, or maybe even a big, loud, long note, we're going to think of those in an old battle movie, maybe Lord of the Rings or something, where they have the long bows that are 6 feet tall, and they pull them back, and there's all this tension, and then boom, they release the note. So that's going to be a big breath and a huge release. One more time. And I'm not pushing the air out. I'm taking in a bunch of air, compressing it, and letting it all out. I'm not forcing it out. I'm not going like I'm sick. And I'm letting my diaphragm and my muscles around the lower ribs go contract right up and let all that out. Okay, now a more practical use for this is early in the first year book, or if we're trying to play excuse me, a loud whole note, we're going to breathe in for 4 and out for 4. So you take a measure to take a breath in, you take a measure to play a note. Now, as we do more videos, as we get further in this technique, it's going to be in for less time, out for more time, or in for more time, out for less time, so that you get a better control over your breath no matter what situation you're playing in. So we're going to practice, and we're going to use the dart or the airplane method, and we're going to go in for 4, out for 4. So in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, and it'll look like this. And point where that air, you want that air to go. In for 4, out for 4. The other way we did it when I was practicing this technique in college is we used both arms to kind of meter the amount of time we were breathing in and breathing out. So you can snap along with me, or just listen to my time. So it'd be one thing this does is it stretches these muscles here and opens up more room for your lungs to expand. You can also meter 1, 2, 3, 4, and you can make sure you're filling all the way up by the time you reach the ceiling. And that's the goal, is we want to stretch our lungs. You want to reach all the way up and get as much air in 4 counts, and use all that air in 4 counts. You should have nothing left, and then a huge recovery breath. Last time, here we go. All right, more to come in part 2. See you later.